Okay. Whew. Well, nothing like the first time bugs here. Okay. So hello and welcome everyone to the part 1, Humanizing Language in Pediatric Healthcare, the Awesomeness Forum. My name is Casey Craig, and you may know me from the SCNAA Family Support Group Facebook page as Stella's mom, or the SCNAA Family Book Club lady. But tonight I'm serving as the Acute Syndrome Foundation volunteer and will be moderating all of the clinical trial readiness educational series. This 5-part series is aimed at helping all of us gain perspective and information as we prepare for upcoming clinical trials. The Acute Syndrome Foundation wants to ensure that all of our families are informed on how clinical trials work, as well as general drug development, ethics of patient data collection, and potential future therapies. This series will bring together panels of industry professionals, clinician researchers, and advocates to discuss these important details. Parts 2 through 5 in this series will dive into this specific information, but in this first event, we wanted to take a moment to pause and to remember the beauty at the center of our community's hope, our children. In this first event, we will learn about Rachel's Awesomeness Forum and talk about how to fill one out for each of our children to celebrate their uniqueness, their talents, their abilities. I know many of us are a bit webinar'd out these days. While it's perfectly fine to just sit back and listen, please know this is a very casual workshop. There will be opportunities for us to interact directly with Rachel, to talk about your own children, and for us to come together as a community. All right, so before we get started, a few housekeeping items. There are 2 ways that we can interact. There is a chat box to your right, and it allows you to type questions or responses for Rachel or Hillary. Or if you have issues hearing us, you can post that there so we can all see. Also, there is a purple share audio and video box. So once you click on that box, it will send me a notification that it's telling me that you would like to share your audio and video. Once I approve it, you will appear on the screen to chat. Only those that request to share their audio and video will be on screen. Everyone else will remain muted and hidden. To your left, there's a tab entitled Expo. In this area, you will find troubleshooting if you are experiencing technical issues, or you can also type in a request for help in the chat box. Megan Varner will be fielding those technical problems for us tonight. Before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to welcome the Dupe 15Q community that are joining us as we collaborate together in this clinical readiness journey. I also want to extend a huge thank you to our sponsors for this event, Neurocrine, Praxis, and Zogenix. Without further ado, I will hand this over to our very own Hillary Savoy. I knew I was going to get teary-eyed at some point in time, so here it is. We all know her as the director and founder of the Acute Syndrome Foundation, but more importantly, she's an SCNA mom that has her own dreams, hopes, and fears for her child Esme. She lives and breathes our lives with a medically fragile child, and yet she still finds the energy to fight for our children every single day. She's a total rock star and kind of my hero, Hillary Savoy.
Thank you, Casey. That's so sweet. Now you got me all teary. So let me begin by just saying welcome to everyone. This is just a project we've been working on for a long time, and I'm really so excited to lift it off the ground and to be here with all of you tonight. Or whatever time it is where you are. And so, as many of you know, I am the founder and the director of the Acute Syndrome Foundation. I am, have been working on this clinical trial readiness series for some time. As Casey elaborated on, we really want our community to feel educated and ready and prepared for the next steps that are coming. And this first step is talking about humanizing language in healthcare, which is so important. And as we start this discussion tonight, I want to say, speaking of being human, I spent my night sleeping in 45-minute increments with my daughter, I've recently come back from a negative COVID test, which is very exciting. But I think I mention this because I think it's so important as we work together in this community to remember that we all are human, and that humanness and that vulnerability that we have is also our strength. And it's something that I bring to my work. I have had to be very vulnerable in professional settings before, and I have found it's a way that I can assert my strength. And one of the reasons that I connected so well with Rachel, who I will introduce you guys to in a moment, is around being human and around being vulnerable. And I think as we start together, it's important that you guys all see us in that way as well. So, and also that you understand that part of how I've learned the things that I've learned in my role as the director of the Acute Syndrome Foundation has been in human interactions. It's been over meals and in bars and in Zoom calls where my kid has thrown up everywhere. And that's how I've learned. I've learned the science, I've learned the ethics, the drug development. That's how I've learned, is from professionals in this space. And so I really wanted this series to bring that to all of you, this really personal sense of people who know these things coming to you in your home and telling you about them. So Rachel and I met 2 years ago now in California after her beautiful keynote address in which she talked about the Awesomeness Forum and her lovely daughter, Evie. And we just hit it off and formed a sort of love at first sight kind of friendship, and have been looking for ways to collaborate ever since. And Rachel is an amazing photographer, an advocate, a teacher, a speaker, an author, and a little bit of everything, and my very dear friend. And I'm so happy to get to share her with the SCN8A community as well as the Duke 15 community who are joining us. And with that, Rachel, I think I'll let you get started.
Beautiful. Can everyone hear me okay? Just checking that things are working. Awesome. What a beautiful introduction. I'm already crying too. It's 5 o'clock in the morning here in Perth, Australia, and I'm a bit fragile myself and vulnerable, and it's so lovely to see some familiar faces on the chat box. Hello to the Duke 15Q community, and hello SCN8A community. I do hope that we get to meet in person one day. Thank you so much for joining us, and Hilary for the introduction. This is a really hopeful session, and I'm going to introduce you to a tool that helped me overcome the powerlessness and often the hopelessness that I felt when I had to fill in needs assessment forms or any other document where you have to tick a box, essentially. And I know that many of you will understand that. And as you prepare for clinical readiness, there will be a lot of forms to fill out and a lot of boxes to tick. And I just wanted to share this, I guess, the other side of that, the human side of your child. So you can mindfully go into these sessions knowing that no matter how many boxes you tick on those clinical trial readiness forms or any other forms, there is this one anchoring foundational identity that will never change in your child, that can only grow. Those things can only grow and are yours forever and are your child's forever. And I know we've only got a little bit of time, so I'm just going to go straight into it. I'm going to share my screen. I've got my lovely, beautiful partner here. We're getting married in 6 weeks. It's very exciting. But here we go. We'll share my screen and I'll show you what we're about to do. If you've got an iPad or pen and paper or anything you can scribble notes on, now's a really good time to grab something that you can write with and document, because we'll do some interactive things this morning. All right, so that's me. That's good. We can go to the next slide. This is my daughter Evie. She was born with a very rare chromosome condition back in 2008, and to me she was incredibly magical. The doctors had never heard of her condition. It doesn't even really have a name. It's just a duplication on her 9th chromosome and a deletion on her 6th chromosome. But as you can see, she was a bit of a honey bunny. And I'm just going to keep clicking through. Thank you, Nathan. again, very medically fragile little button that she was, and our life with her was kind of an up and down, topsy-turvy roller coaster ride that many of you are incredibly familiar with. But what I was noticing is that over time she grew and she developed, and she just wasn't being or embodying any of the words that the doctors and the medical professionals were using around her. Like when she was first born, they said that she was retarded, developmentally delayed. She was abnormal. She was incompatible with life. You know, these words are so subtractive and deficit focused. And to me, they just, again, that powerlessness and hopelessness that you feel when these words kind of hit you, they hit your heart first. And so it was beautiful for me to watch Evie and learn from her. And to me, she had superpowers. I believe that she had an electromagnetic sensitivity that was completely unique to her. She felt fields, I think. So every time we drove under electrical pylons or went through anything electrical, sliding doors, you know, those kind of things, she would cry. And we didn't understand why this was happening. And so this idea of electromagnetic sensitivity really resonated with me. And I thought that maybe she was like a baby Magneto of X-Men or something. And so I started saying that she had superpowers as a lighthearted way to describe this particular phenomenon of Evie. But once I had this language and this kind of enhancing kind of attitude around her, I realized that everything about her was really quite profound. Like she could communicate how she was feeling and what she needed just by a single sound in the tone of her voice. Like she didn't use words, but she could communicate so much. And we could make up games together. She laughed with her whole body. She just evoked a level of care and love in people that they hadn't experienced before. And she just had this kind of magic about her. And it was at one point when I had to fill in my own needs assessment form where I couldn't tick a single box on that 2-page document that I just felt this crushing powerlessness and defeat. And so instead of kind of wallowing in that space, I decided, you know what, this form just totally sucks. It's just completely irrelevant. None of these questions matter. I don't even care that Evie's not doing any of these things because she's doing so many other things. So I decided to make up my own form to go alongside this official one. So when the people at the other end read this document, they would see that she had abilities and value and that she was loved and she was interesting and she was a really important part of my life. And I didn't get to tick any of those kind of boxes. They didn't ask me any of those kind of questions. And so this is what we're going to be doing today together. We're going to be creating our own document that kind of fills us up with the love and the pride and the hope and the joy that we see in our children. And it was so beautiful when I answered my own questions, how great I felt doing that. And I was so proud of Evie because I could see how she was growing and how she was developing. And while that might not be able to be measured on any official scale or document, this piece of paper became my measuring stick for Evie and her development. And to me, that was the only thing that really mattered, and I could celebrate her growth and development in a way that nobody else could. And so as you can see here, there are some pretty random questions, and that is okay. That is the point of this document. They're completely fun, completely random, but it says so much about Evie. You know, the first one, can your child play Sleeping Tiger and other great games? Yes! And gosh, I loved being able to say yes and putting a big tick somewhere. Yes, she can do this. And so you get a sense of who she is and how she interacts in the world. Does your child laugh when objects fall near her face? Yes, she does. Can your child play for over 30 minutes in an exercise? Yes, she can. At it. Can your child play with your hair, face, and earrings? Yes. And she pulls very gently, and she had this magical thing. She had like these really delicate little hands, and so I loved when she touched me because they were like little droplets of water on my face. Can your child hold her legs and nearly her toes? Yes. Can your child hold a spoon and feed herself yogurt? Yes, when she feels like it. Can your child roll competently? Yes. Can your child do assisted push-ups holding her head up? Yes, and her record is 13 in a row. So you kind of get the playfulness and the fun in this, and just, I don't know, the joy. Like, I just have so much joy, and every time I read this document, I remember these moments of Evie, and it brings me a lot of happiness. And I filled this out when Evie was around 2.5 years old, and it was not long after that she passed away. She had a very short little life, but she inspired so much and has a very powerful legacy, and I'm really proud to have been her mum on this earth for 2.5 years. And over time, like, my Awesomeness form has developed and grown. So it's not about making your form beautiful or perfect or pretty or exceptional right now. It's just about documenting those questions and getting to answer yes to things. And then you can zhuzh it up as you want. You can make it into a big poster. You can make it an art project. You can stick it on your wall. You can do whatever you like. Now, I'm going to jump back into Hilary for a second, because I've made an Esme's Awesomeness form here. But we'll have a little chat, shall we? And then we'll go to the room.
Yeah, so I think we want to allow people just to get to a little bit of housekeeping before we talk about Esme's form. We are going to work on Esme's form and talk about that, but we also want to invite family members to participate as we go along. So we'll cue Casey to come on the screen when we want to open it up for people to start to participate. So this is really exciting, because I hadn't seen that you had actually made a form for her.
I know a form. So I sent to Hilary a few questions, because the key element of making an Awesomeness form is asking yourself questions you can already answer yes to, which is fun to get your head around. So I sent Hilary a few different themes, I guess, of the kind of things you could ask yourself. So think of movement, or the sounds that your child makes, or how they interact with you and the world, any activities they enjoy doing. And I'll send you a whole list of these categories as a resource that, Hilary, you can send to everyone as well. Think about any objects they might like to play with, or textures they love, or it might be that they really enjoy the feel of water, or they might enjoy heat or wind, or any elemental kind of parts of the world. Maybe they have some physical attributes that you just adore. Maybe there are things that you enjoy doing with them that only you do with them, or that other people do with them. Maybe they have a special bond with people. Maybe there are things that they enjoy doing independently. Maybe they have a favorite flavor, or they eat their food in an interesting way, or anything about them that you can celebrate and enjoy is all part of this. So Hilary, I might just ask you some questions, or maybe we'll go into how we kind of got into your form and how that felt when you were answering those questions.
So yeah, I think what's really interesting here, and I think one of the reasons that Rachel and I connected so quickly, is that I think at the core we have a lot of these same ideas. And in fact, the name of our foundation, the Cute Syndrome Foundation, was in response to kind of a similar conundrum about describing my child and what made her different. And people would ask what was wrong with her, and I would say, she has the cute syndrome, and there's nothing wrong with her. And I think at the core of my motherhood has always been celebrating her, and sort of sometimes aggressively celebrating her in the face of people not seeing what I see. And so getting to have this conversation with you via email, answering these questions about who she is, was really powerful for me, and something that I was just mostly overwhelmed with the idea of being able to share with the community that I'm part of and that I love.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, let's one, because I want to talk about these, because I honestly, I loved seeing these answers, and it made me laugh and smile, and my heart just went, oh, it's so good, it's so lovely. Because that's a thing, isn't it? I always used to get stopped in the street by people, and I'd see Evie, and the first thing they said was, "What's wrong with your child? What's wrong with your child?" And so you have to feel like you have to list off all of the things, you know, that's wrong with your child. And in the end, it just felt like you were describing a collection of body parts rather than a human being. And so years and years of that kind of response is exhausting, and it's depressing. And so this is another way that you can reframe that. And I love that you already did that, Hilary, as well. Awesome. Now, can you help me share my screen, please? Oh, thank you.
Yes, no,
All right.
It's not showing yet.
Ismail's awesomeness.
But I've printed it as well.
Cool. Here we go. So I love this one. Can your child crawl eerily quickly when your back is turned?
Yes.
It's so good. You start to get a sense of how cheeky she is. You know, I love this. I love this. Does your child continue to try and get back up over and over after she's fallen?
Yes.
Yes. She's tenacious and she's got resilience. You can see that. I love this one. Can your child communicate a serious attitude with the haughtiness of her crawl?
Absolutely.
And does your child make new friends with a single smile? Yes, look, I'm one of them. She made friends with me instantly. She's magic like that. Does your child love the best people nearly immediately? Yes. Oh gosh, she's such a honey, isn't she? Is your child's laugh the most delicious sound in the world? Yes. Can you get a feel of how Hilary's answered a lot of different questions around different aspects of Esme, so her character and how she moves and how she sounds and how she interacts with the world. So kind of think about all sorts of different ways that you can think into your child. Does your child use her eye gaze device to poetically capture ideas like sleep think and most magically? Yeah. Hilary, do you want to kind of explain that a little bit more, because I love this?
Yeah. So she has an eye gaze device that a number of our kids in our community use them, and it's one of my pet projects that I hope to get more and more eye gaze devices to more and more of our children, because they're often nonverbal, and unfortunately the reality of life in our current life, our current world, is that nonverbal is often conflated with not understanding or not being able to communicate. And since Esme has had her eye gaze device, she's been able to show precisely that she not only understands, but she has creative ways of expressing herself. And so recently she made a happy birthday video for one of her friends, and who has taken her on a couple of adventures, and she wished him happy birthday. I had it all set up for her to start, but then I said, do you want to say anything else? And she said, she nodded yes and tapped my hand and then said, most magically. Like it was a most magical birthday wish. And sleep think we believe is dream, and that she has we've often tried to get her to talk about what she dreams about. And the other day she was talking with her father about sleep think, and we believe that is dream. And I'm really excited to continue conversations about that. She told her teacher that she sleep thinks about music, so hopefully that will open some venues, because that's one of the things I've always wondered is, what she dreams about. She can't tell me in the morning.
That's amazing. It's so cool. It's so cool, Hilary. I love it. Let's go and learn some more things about Esme. I printed it out. Look, this is how great a piece of paper can be. You just print it out and you feel so great about life when you have a piece of paper full of your child's awesomeness on it. Honestly, it's just a Word document, but it makes me so happy. That's how simple and powerful it can be, because it's about the words on the page, not about how pretty it is. All right, here we go. We are going to share my screen again. Thank y'all. Here we go. We are doing this. All right, we got up to the eye gaze one, didn't we?
Yes.
Cool. We made that big, innit? Can't see it. Okay. Oh, yes. All right, so that's good. They can see it. Good.
Is it backwards for you guys there?
Is it backwards?
No, that looks right.
Okay,
a
good.
little blurry for me. But
Oh, we'll send all this out to you guys.
Yeah, we'll
afterwards
distribute a
as well.
bunch of resources after the event for everybody.
Definitely, all of the things. Alrighty. Can your child hold a room captive with well-timed eye gaze jokes? I love this. She's so funny. She's got such a sense of humor. And I remember when you were telling me that when she first got her eye device, gaze, like that was one of the first things that she did, was she was telling jokes almost kind of straight away, right?
Yeah, she opened the show at a dance recital with her jokes. And now is using them, they're canned jokes, and she now uses them out of context. So her teacher was asking her a question that she thought was too easy. And instead of answering it, she went to the jokes and said, "Catch up with me and I'll tell you," which is the punchline of a knock knock joke. Catch up with me and I'll tell you, but like ketchup, like the sauce, ketchup. And then gave the answer and then went back and said, "Ha, ha, ha."
She's so great. That kid, I tell you, it's so awesome. You've got another one here. Can your child tell you important, complex things with a touch, emotion, or an aha? It's amazing how much can be shared just without words. Like you said, she taps your hand when she wants to tell you something, and because you know her, and as parents, we know our children so deeply, and sometimes in this crazy complex medical world, the knowledge that we have of our children can be dismissed, and we feel like we are not being listened to. And so when you're kind of coming into the clinical trial stuff, it's so important to hold on to the power that you have and the knowledge that you have as a parent. And sometimes writing some of this stuff down really grounds you in that knowledge and that authority and that expertness that you have as parents. So hold on to that as well. Don't lose your identity as the expert of your child.
I also used to do a lot of recording of things because she would do things and I would report it. And I often would feel like people would look at me like I was absolutely mad and seeing what I wanted to see. And so it's an odd thing to have your child prove their abilities constantly in ways that other children don't necessarily have to do. But there is a lot of power in that as well, to document and share.
Definitely. I love that, Hilary. All right, some more Esme. Is your favorite thing to do with your child to watch her enjoy new experiences? Yes. And I'm a creepy stalker of you guys on Facebook, and I've seen her like surfing and visiting amazing senators. You know, she's politically aware, this child. She's very cultured, isn't she, Esme?
Yes.
It's awesome. I love this one. Has your child shown a propensity to wordlessly talk others into doing things for her?
Yes. Yes. Hence the surfing and the visits to Washington.
She's got some sass, that one. Do you and your child manage to make friends and open doors that take her to extraordinary places like Disney animation studios? See, this is a question I should ask on clinical trial forms, I reckon. I think that would be a much better these are much better questions. I like these questions. Has your child managed to show you that when she is challenged, she can learn to do apparently impossible things?
Yeah, that's one of my favorites on the form, because and I think this is another one of those lessons that I think is so important, and I always want to share with other parents that we had a wonderful physical therapist for the first several years of Esme's life, and have had subsequent wonderful ones, but one who was particularly connected with Esme. And when she was learning how to pull to stand, holding on to something, he was trying to do the typical motor planning motions, like to put her legs in the places that he had been taught they should go in order for her to propel herself up. And she kept correcting and doing it differently, and eventually pulled to stand. And when she did, he said, "That's impossible. It's impossible. It's physically impossible that this child is standing, period, and in this way." And he's taught all of his trainees that notion that you know, just because we think something has to work a certain way for it to be possible Esme taught him that it doesn't have to work that way. And I think there's so many times that we encounter moments where we are told our children won't or can't or never will, or they're assigned numbers and categories that just really don't matter. And we have to look beyond them and be open to them moving their legs in a different way and making something happen.
Exactly. I think medicine forgets the power of a human spirit and the individual's determination, and it's like it doesn't exist. It's just science and kind of mechanical pieces almost, but there's something else. You know, these kids are made of stuff that goes above and beyond medical realms often. I love that question, and someone's going to steal that question. I love that.
Oh yeah,
that's
Dianali, yeah, for Max. That is Max.
Dianali.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, you can totally steal that question.
He is definitely a superhero. He's one of my heroes.
Oh, beautiful. Does your child keep VTEC's toy car division afloat?
Yeah, she loves those little VTEC cars, and she goes through them like mad because she mouths them and drenches them, and then they die slow, agonizing deaths. So we have to replace them. I keep thinking she should have a VTEC sponsorship because I think she's definitely has a couple people's jobs on lockdown just because of her personal consumption.
Yeah. I reckon it's worth pursuing, Hilary, for sure. I love this. Has your child's love of the Muppets led you to see the Muppets and the Muppets Most Wanted more times than the people who edited the movie?
Definitely. Yes. And I can also recite it front to back. I do a performative in-car performance of the Muppets in the event that she's feeling a little cagey. I can perform all the songs for her.
Awesome. Now, what I might do is I'll quickly go back to the screen and I'll show you the Esme's Awesomeness form again. And if you can see it, some of you are saying it's a little bit blurry, but if you wanted to screenshot it for now, just so you've got an idea of some of the questions that Hilary answered for herself, just as a resource until we send you the rest, take your time. But I'm wondering if this is a good time to open up to the floor, and if anyone's got any questions or thoughts,
Casey,
we can just have a little chat.
Casey, do you want to come back on to help us moderate? I know you said you were in tears earlier, so hopefully you've, but we'll all be in tears by the end. I rarely talk to Rachel and don't wind up crying. I mean that in the best way. I'm not sure. Let's see, Casey. Well, I think I've got at least one person asking. So just so you guys know the way this works, we can have up to 7 people on the screen at once. But any share screen counts as a person. So 6 if we're sharing. And I can just, as you guys use that button up at the top corner, purple button to raise your hand, or obviously feel free to also, if you don't want to be on camera. Oh, there's Casey. Hey. You can also ask and or contribute in the chat box. But it does look like, Casey, are you seeing?
Yeah, I see Nancy on here.
All right, I'm going to add her. See how this goes.
Cool.
Nope. I think I added her. Nancy? It might take a moment. I know there are some delays. But Nancy, if you don't pop up in a second, raise your hand one more time and we'll, oh, yay!
She's coming.
Hi, Nancy.
Yay.
Hey,
Hi.
and other people, you'll get into a queue. If you raise your hands, I'll start pulling you in, or Casey will pull you in. So, Rachel, do you want to, this is Nancy.
Hi, Rachel. Nice
Hello,
to meet you
Nancy.
guys.
So nice to meet you. Yeah. Have you had any thoughts or questions or interactions? Tell us.
I actually logged on a little bit late because I just got home from work and changed, and then of course you.
So we're putting you right on the spot then.
Are you?
I'm adding in Kayla as well.
I'm gonna mute him.
Do you want to go off screen, and then Nancy, if you want to raise your hand again, we can add you when you're ready?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So
I think I can remove
there we
it.
go. Okay. All right, there we go. Hey, Kayla.
Sorry, don't mind me. I look a mess. I just want to say that I love this. I've been really struggling the last couple weeks because McKinley, this little Judy down here, turned 1. And so, you just see everything. Everyone posts about their kids and accomplishments and stuff. So I really just love that this puts a good spin on everything. And I don't know, I'm excited.
Awesome. Have you got some inklings of the kind of questions you want to ask yourself and answer yes to straight away?
Oh, the one I can think of is, do you just lose track of time staring at the cute little face all day long? Because I do.
Awesome.
Look at little pigtails.
I know.
That's awesome. Oh, she's lovely.
I wasn't really sure what was going on. I seen people popping on, so I popped on too. So I apologize for that part.
No, this is the whole idea. Can you, do you want to tell us a little bit about how the two of you communicate and understand each other?
It's almost hard to describe, I would think. Like, she doesn't do anything too extreme. It's just very subtle. I'll say facial features. I feel like she has a hard time expressing emotions unless they're extreme emotions. So whenever they're more subtler, I'll just try to tickle her. I'll get little kind of her face will soften and she'll get maybe a little smirk out of one side of the cheek. And then unless I get her really going, whenever she'll be making all over. It's usually what I get from her, just subtle things. And
what about, I know that she eats by mouth. So how does she show you that she's hungry?
She'll still put her hand up to the mouth and kind of try to eat her hand. She will keep her thumb tucked in so she won't actually bite on her fingers or anything, but she wants to. She'll suck on it a little bit. Yeah. And then we get really fussy. We go from 0 to 100 whenever we get hungry, huh?
Well, I think that's a great thing to really highlight because, she's telling you that she's hungry in her own way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know I'm bad on the spot, so sorry.
No, lovely. I'm excited for how you think into this space and create your own little document.
Yes.
And this is the thing, they can change and grow and you just add to them when you think of them. It's not something that it's not a pressure or something to feel like you're not doing well enough. This is your own document. And I found it really helpful just kind of having it with me because I'm imagining that a lot of you have piles of pieces of paper, hospital forms, discharge papers, all of the things. And often it's those pieces of paper that have the list of all of the things that are wrong and all the things that you're trying to fix and working on. So just having a piece of paper tucked in there that has that human focus, that child-focused identity piece is just a really nice way to stay grounded when everything else is going on. And Heather, I love that you're commenting that you're on your way to St. Louis Children's for a neurology appointment, and I hope that this is helpful for you and that you can tuck a little piece of awesomeness form in your pocket, when you're in the hospital and we're thinking of you.
Yeah, and I think Heather, I would be really curious if you can type, and it looks like we have 2 more people I think who are about to join us on video. Heather, for you to think about, in the midst of those questions, what you would prefer to be answering or what you would like to think about. And I'd love if you can, I don't want you to be texting and driving or whatever, but if you can, I'd love to hear what you've come up with for the questions that you would like to be answering. And it looks like Ken's.
Yeah.
Have you joined?
Kayla, do you want to stay on?
Did I not?
Oh, that's okay. I'll go off for a little bit.
Don't want to infringe on her family night either.
We've got Dianali and Ken's have joined. So Rachel, do you want to?
I can't see me, but hi.
Yeah, we can't see you either.
Hi.
Okay, that's probably a good thing.
Mackenzie, do you have any questions or comments or thoughts or pieces of awesomeness that you want to share about your child with us?
Sure. I love this idea because it's a conversation I have quite frequently. You have to forgive me. I'm doing a intense walk right now with my son. For my daughter, I have conversations with her therapist all the time of how I actually take a lot of her evaluations and throw them out, or I don't read them, I don't look at them, because all it does is emphasize, like you're saying, it emphasizes all the stuff that my kid can't do. So I love the idea of being able to hand over a piece of paper to celebrate everything that my daughter can do. And she just started eye gaze therapy a couple months ago, to which I have fought for 2 years. And they kept telling me that she couldn't do it, she wasn't ready. And the very first day she was able to play games, last week, which was only a month and a half later, she said she felt bored and was ready to go to school. So, it's very satisfying to kind of have something to stick right back at them and say, yes, my kid can.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's about, you were talking earlier, Hillary, it's sometimes frustrating that you have to constantly prove and fight to prove ability. But with this kind of document and with this, you're kind of arming yourself with the sense of your child. And I think if you can then help the health professionals around you and even your family and community around you to think bigger and think more potential into your child as well, then you're not so alone in having to prove this, because other people can join you in seeing that as well. And I think as a collective community, like even being able to share awesomeness forms with each other, like how beautiful would that be? Maybe there's a way on the SCN8, I keep tripping over that SCN8A and the Duke 15Q communities where you can say, here are all the awesomeness forms that we've made for our child, and then it can just kind of grow, and how beautiful that would be.
Hey, Rachel.
Absolutely.
I was curious. Karen also mentioned that sometimes our kids have so many levels, ups and downs, and you might say yes to one set of questions 1 month, and then the next month they're no longer applicable. And we wanted to lift ourselves up and not feel depressed. So how is that? What do you suggest? Maybe have 2 sets of questions?
Yeah. Again, and it's not about measurement. And so maybe if they've been able to do something 1 month and then not the other month, it might be that gives you a clue on their development in a different way. And so not to see that as a negative, but maybe maybe this is because they've been able to do this here, then that's something that you can really talk to your health professionals about, is like, this is a stick that I've been using to measure and this isn't happening anymore, and I really am wondering why that is. So maybe we can focus therapy and care into this space. So it could be a way for you to really get clear on your values as a parent and what you want care for and specific therapy for. So yeah, I think not use it as something to feel sad about if they're losing it, but an opportunity to keep leaning into that area.
I like the idea of using it as a means to almost restory what that is, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that Karen, that Lily is able to achieve things sometimes, and maybe they aren't sustained, but one of the things that I always think about with her, and I happen to know her child well, so that's maybe a little unfair, but just to sort of help, is the idea that there's so much hope and potential in Lily, and when she has a hard time, she's moved in one direction, but that there's this amazing hopefulness there. And I don't want to speak for you, Karen, but that's what I think of when I think of Lily, is this just amazing, determined young woman who is just full of fight no matter what happens. But I also understand that sense of sadness. Esme's recently lost ground, and that's quite challenging to understand how to story that.
Yeah.
I know Denali joined us.
Yeah, it's a.
Yeah.
No, you go, Denali. I'd love.
Yeah. Do you want to share some of your awesomeness? Oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Sorry.
Oh, thank you, Lindsay. I love that you are here and have
How
a
about
good
now?
shift at the hospital.
Oh, there you go.
No, hold on.
Yeah. Drive carefully.
Can you hear me
friends.
now?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know why. Should I leave and come back?
No, you're good.
No, I'm good now.
Can you hear us?
Oh, maybe she can't hear us. Okay. Well, she'll probably pop back on. I just wanted to say Karen mentioned that she's crying now, and Karen, sorry, and also you're welcome. We all need to cry sometimes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to read Heather's answer. I thought this is so great. Does your child play possum and pretend to be asleep when he doesn't like a therapist or doctor? Does your child smile and shake when he hears mommy or Mimi's voice in the room? Love it.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Beautiful.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yay! Yay, Zaki's happy too. Sorry, I have a 4-year-old toddler, rambunctious child. So what I love most about this, Zaki, mommy's talking. What I love most about this is that this can serve almost as a reminder to Max's therapist. So with Max, we always, and he's gonna be 6 in a few weeks, and I'm constantly having therapists like, no, we don't want to do this today because he's had a seizure here, a seizure there, and I'm just like, oh my god, like Max is like Esme. He performs well when he's challenged. We had this OT that at the age of 2, she was getting him to stand. I mean, with assistance, but he was bearing weight. And, unfortunately, she got pregnant, so she stopped seeing him for a while, had a baby, blah, blah, blah. We moved a little further away from her. But I know anytime that she starts getting involved with his therapies, she doesn't care that he's sick or that he's had seizures or that he's tired. Like, she pushes him. I mean, she knows his limits, but she knows what he's capable of. And like his therapists we have now, they're good, but they don't push. And I almost want this as like a big poster as a reminder of what Max is capable of.
Yeah.
We were in the hospital. I think it was just after he was intubated. And as we were leaving that day, I sat him up and he was holding his head like nothing happened, which is a hard thing for him to do. He was holding his head for like a minute. And I was like, what the hell? This, one thing I'd want to put on there is that, is my kid resilient? Yes. Is he a fighter? Yes. And I think part of the reason why I've been hesitant to send him to school and doing the whole IEP, because it is depressing as all hell, when they list all the things he can't do and what they won't do with him because in their eyes he can't do it. And, so they're not even going to try. They did that with speech. Our actual hospital wouldn't do speech therapy on him because he's aspirating his saliva, so we can't work with him. And it's like, well, how is he ever going to be able to learn how to swallow again if you won't even do the therapy? And so I had to pay out of pocket for someone to come to the house and start doing who's not afraid and doing the therapies with him. And guess what? He started swallowing and stopped aspirating too. And so that's why I love this board, like just almost as a reminder to leave, and his therapies are at home. So as a reminder to the therapist and to anyone coming through, whether it's teachers or them, that my child is capable of doing so much more than what they perceive and what medicine says. So thank you for this. This is absolutely wonderful. I'm crying. This is absolutely wonderful. Awesome. And I think it just helps even if it seems silly to other people, I think it just is something that helps us parents, you know, to feel good in a time that's so hard. So thank you. I'm glad that I came on.
Thank you for joining,
Thank
Jane.
you.
Perfect.
And I want to mention that Shannon said that she thinks the awesomeness list is a great way to enjoy the present and not focus on regression. And I think that that's really spectacular, because we do talk a lot about our children, I think, in past and future, right? So everything is this constant, what could they do that they're not doing now? What has happened to them? And then what do we hope that will happen? And I know personally that especially early on with Esme, who is in the other room, I can hear her laughing this whole time, which is just glorious. But that I was so focused on providing her therapies and trying to be all of the things for her so she could move forward. And what I've recently realized, she's nearly 10, and I have realized that I haven't, although I think I've always celebrated who she is, I haven't focused on being as present with her as I should. And that's been my mantra. In some ways, COVID has encouraged that, to just hold still. And her regression has encouraged that, because it scared me. And I thought, you know, I just want to hold this child right now in this moment as she is, as perfect. And I love that Karen added some of her light up the room and brighten everyone's day when she smiles. Yes, absolutely. Does she prove every doctor wrong? Most assuredly. Does everyone fall in love with her when they meet her? Without a doubt. And I can speak personally to those truths about Lily. She is absolutely spectacular.
Sunshine boy.
Heather mentioned that Tate plays possum. So when he doesn't want to do therapies, he'll pretend like he's sleeping. And I think so many of the times when our kids are nonverbal, and I know Stella doesn't show a lot of emotion on her face, and so people just assume she doesn't have a personality. And this just bothers me, and I'm glad that she's able to do certain things. She's manipulating us now. So when she doesn't want to do something, she has a special squeal that her grandma's like, oh, something's wrong. I'm like, no, she just doesn't want to be on the TV right now, and she wants to go play in her wheelchair. So,
yeah. That's so interesting, Casey. I love that, because even our own families can get it wrong, and then that can be frustrating, because if you're the parent and you need support as well, and so you need people to be on your team who understand the things that you understand so that you can get some support. And so being able to show this kind of document or talk about these things to those closest to you is so powerful, because then you don't feel like you're quite so alone. When other people can see what you see and are pushing as hard as you are, or, you know, it's really important. And I'm maybe you can make your own awesomeness form for yourself.
I like it.
When you're feeling like that would be quite a powerful thing to do as well. Make one for your child and one for you. There's no end.
I love it.
I know our time is coming to a close, so I wanted to be sure to read. I think we got most everyone's, but I think we missed Lindsay, who said, does your child love their new school? Does your child always smile? Does your child always make you smile? Does your child amaze you every day does your child love Fireman Sam? Does your child harass their older sister? Absolutely. Does your child chase the poor little hamster around the living room? We'll leave it there. So I thought that was just absolutely brilliant. And and then Gail added Milo's pieces of awesomeness. Milo is an awesome babbler and has the cutest giggle. He has a lot of determination. He tries so hard, he shakes.
Oh.
He's also just mastered mega bounces in his baby Bjorn bouncer. He's trilingual. He knows at least one word in English, Spanish, and French. he has to touch us while sleeping, making it near impossible to ninja sneak away when he's asleep. And
Oh, thank you, Gail.
that's amazing. And I think that, you know, one of the things that I'm seeing, and Rachel, I want to give you the closing words here tonight before we go, but the thing that just has always struck me about our children and is striking me again tonight is that sense of resiliency and determination, and that for all that these kids have been through, which is terribly unfair and in some cases, you know, is just impossible to fathom. And yet what I see here is joy and strength and resiliency. And I was recently on a call with one of the drug companies that we work with, one of our sponsors, and they asked me about what I wanted them to know. And I said that I wanted them to think about Esme falling down and getting back up, and that when she falls down, sometimes I just want her to stay down because it's like, it seems impossible. Like, it's just so unfair for her to have to keep getting back up and falling over, and she's falling a lot right now. And that I ask that the people around her and the people who are serving her and her community, namely the people who are on that call and others in that role, that they show the same determination. And I think, you know, our kids aren't here to inspire everyone. That's not their role. That's not their job, but they do. And I think that that's just what I'm seeing here. And I just wanted to share that idea. And I see people are sharing more as we go. Does your child belt out Frozen songs while being considered nonverbal by most? Yes, that's amazing. Anyway, Rachel, I want to give you some last words. I know we're at time, so I don't want to, you know.
No, this is beautiful. I could talk about everyone's children's awesomeness all day. Like, this is, it fills me with so much joy and just getting the sense of who they are. And I just hope that you can take this with you as you go through the next 5 weeks of these workshops, and as you go through the next phase of treatments with your child, to hold on to these really key pieces. It is my firm belief that you can't be diagnosed with an identity, and to not let go of the fact that these children of yours are showing you their personality and their character and their identity through these things that they love. And by you capturing them and then reflecting them back to your friends, your family, your therapist, they then get a sense of your child's identity. And so I think it deepens the level of care and respect that they have for your child and for you, and it helps them to be more human with you as well. Because I think that the medical field, it is a group of humans, and sometimes it can feel like a system and a machine. But when you bring this piece, this awesomeness piece, this identity, character, personality, human piece into that space as well, I think that that's when real love can be exchanged between you and the people that you're working with. So do this for your children, and do this for yourselves, to center you and to ground you and to remind you of the wonderful job that you're doing as parents, the wonderful things that you're witnessing as parents that often only you get to witness. Like, this is one of the great joys of being parents in the space, that you get to witness a child grow and develop in the way that they are going to grow and develop, and all of these beautiful things that you're sharing with us. Like, that is your private joy for a minute, but then share it with others, and that becomes elevated. And then this idea of normal, this limiting idea of normal and acceptable, is just shattered and smashed, and we can kind of accept that difference and diversity is just as a huge part of what normal is. You know, that it isn't definable. And I'm so grateful to have shared this hour with you all. and hearing, look at all your things. Your beautiful things.
I know. I wanna be sure that we read. I know we're going over time, Rachel. I'm sure. I know you well enough to know that you're probably okay with that. But I wanted to read these. There's a few more. Adriana is awesome. She's in running team with paraeducator, and she tries so hard. She amazes me every day with her efforts to fit in, to learn to talk to people and socialize. Everything is so hard for her, but she's moving on. Michelle, does your child's whole body smile when the cat walks by close enough to touch? Yes. And then Karen is suggesting we have an Awesomeness Day every week or month on the support group to share something special. Ben,
yeah, that's a great idea.
It's a wonderful idea. We're on it. We'll make it happen. And Karen, since you're one of our volunteers, and that falls right under your job description, so you have
not it.
Ben, does your child say "Go away, old man" every time you enter the room? Tilly does. This is just amazing. And I just want to say, just offer up so much gratitude to everyone. First of all, I need to give a huge thank you to Megan Varner. Megan is one of our volunteer extraordinaires. She researched this whole platform, figured it out, built it, made it happen, and has worked so hard. And I just want to acknowledge her. She's not on screen, although if she wanted to pop on and say hi, we would welcome that. But Megan does so much work behind the scenes, and this all would not be possible without her. So I want to say thank you, Megan. And Karen says, Megan is my baby and my favorite middle child. We can do an Awesomeness form for Megan later. And because she definitely deserves it. And thank you, Casey, so much for agreeing to work in this capacity on all of this. And thank you again to our sponsors, Neurocrine, Praxis, and Zogenix, and to the Dupe 15Q community for joining us. This is a small world of the rare epilepsies, and we have to do what we can to support each other. And having them join came out of yet another just interpersonal, lovely interaction with Vanessa. And we're so happy, and you guys are welcome at all of our sessions. And Vanessa will be speaking next week on patient data. And for all of you, we hope you'll join us to discuss ethics of patient data and a bunch of really wonderful information around that with panelist Vanessa Vogel-Farley, Gabby Belfort from Praxis, and Dr. John Schreiber from Children's National next week. And then also just my biggest thanks and gratitude to Rachel for joining. Rachel is just, every time I talk to you, I feel like the world is more and more possible for our kids. And I'm just so grateful to call you a friend and a colleague, and I'm so grateful to get to share you with this wonderful community. So,
look, I'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning anytime for you guys. Just say the word, and I'll be up and about.
Well, we will certainly have you back, and we look forward to working with you on some more things in the future. So,
thank you, everyone. You participated beautifully. I loved it. Well done.
Yeah. Well, yes. Kisses to everybody. And again, we will look forward to seeing you next week. And thank you everyone who participated. And I think that's sort of the biggest thank you is this is not possible unless people show up and make themselves vulnerable and ask their questions and share their kids. So thank you all, and look forward to seeing you next week. Hopefully I'll be better rested. Goodbye.